The Incredible Hulk was based on the character created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1962 for Marvel Comics. In 1977, Universal Studios executive Frank Price acquired the rights to the Hulk, and he hired Ken Johnson, a veteran producer who also created The Bionic Woman, to develop it into a show. Johnson initially resisted, thinking it was a silly concept. Eventually, he was convinced and agreed to produce the Hulk. On Easter Sunday in 1977, Johnson wrote the pilot script in a 12-hour period. Changes were made from the comic book character to work for television, and Stan Lee agreed. Bruce Banner became David Banner, and the Hulk's origin story was also altered. Instead of being mutated by a nuclear explosion like in the comic book, David Banner's biochemistry is altered by a lab experiment gone wrong while searching for the key to hidden strength. For 5 seasons, primarily on Friday nights, David Banner wandered America searching for a cure for his angry green outbursts. The popular sci-fi TV series initially ran for 5 seasons on CBS from 1978 to 1982. So let's take a look back at some behind-the-scenes trivia about The Incredible Hulk and the people that brought the show to life. Ken Johnson, the show's producer, originally wanted to change the Hulk's color from green to red to reflect the anger that rules the character. Stan Lee, the original creator, rejected this idea and held firm that the Hulk should be green like the comics. The part of David Banner went to veteran actor Bill Bixby, who brought a quiet intensity to the role that contrasted with the raging green monster that was hiding inside of him. Bixby was already known for starring in My Favorite Martian, The Courtship of Eddie's Father, and the TV show The Magician. The part of the Incredible Hulk initially went to actor Richard Kiel, but we'll get back to that in a moment. In the days before CGI, creating a gigantic green Hulk on screen was a challenge, but Lou Ferrigno absolutely met the requirements. Born in Brooklyn, New York, Ferrigno contracted a childhood ear infection that impaired 75% of his hearing. He was soon bullied by schoolmates, and to protect himself, he turned to weightlifting. The unending discipline and physical training transformed him into the youngest bodybuilder to win consecutive Mr. Universe titles. Following his wins as Mr. Universe, a 1977 documentary about him competing against Arnold Schwarzenegger called Pumping Iron debuted, and this made him famous. Ken Johnson, the Incredible Hulk producer, initially wanted a more formidable actor to play the Hulk, someone who was capable of displaying true emotion. So he hired Richard Kiel, best known for his role as the villain Jaws in the James Bond films. After a week of filming, producers realized Kiel wasn't believable as the Hulk. He had the height, but lacked the bulk of a strongman. After Kiel learned he lost the part, he was actually relieved that he wouldn't have to spend all that time on the set in green makeup. So in stepped Lou Ferrigno, who had to reshoot all of the pilot scenes. However, there was one scene where Kiel remained. It was an overhead view of the Hulk as he looked up a tree. The makeup that transformed Ferrigno into the Hulk took 3 to 4 hours to apply. A forehead and a nose prosthetic were used, along with green contacts and a wig made from yak hair. In the early episodes of the series, Ferrigno wore more monstrous facial makeup to help convey how much more of a creature the Hulk was, but ultimately it was toned down. The green contacts that Ferrigno wore were hard and very uncomfortable. They could only be worn for 15 minutes at a time. The green body paint was applied using a green ball of clay that they would rub on, and once it was on, the Hulk needed to be kept cool to prevent sweating, so Ferrigno spent his time between takes in a refrigerated motorhome to keep his makeup looking fresh. The Incredible Hulk was known for running around barefoot after he busted out of his shoes. For Ferrigno, being barefoot was painful, so the costume department had him wear shoes painted green to match his body. This made running and performing stunts outside much easier for him. The mystique of the Incredible Hulk was maintained by the actors involved. Many press photographers tried to get pictures of both Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno together, but Bixby made sure this never happened, as he didn't want the illusion destroyed for the kids watching. The opening sequence of The Incredible Hulk was a pretty iconic one. Not only did it set up the story, but it was narrated by Ted Cassidy, who was also the butler Lurch in the Addams Family TV show. Not only was Cassidy the voice of the narrator, but he also provided the grunting and growling of the Hulk for the entire first season and most of the second season. Cassidy died in 1979 at the age of 46 following open-heart surgery to remove a tumor. During production of the show, Bill Bixby dealt with many terrible tragedies. His first marriage was to Brenda Bennett, an actress on Days of Our Lives, that ended in divorce in 1980. In 1981, his 6-year-old son died from complications caused by a throat infection while he was on a skiing vacation with his mother. The death was very difficult for Bixby and Bennett. 1 year later, Bennett locked herself in the bathroom and took her own life with a gun. Bixby dealt with both of these tragedies and maintained his sanity by immersing himself in the Incredible Hulk. Bill Bixby would go on to work on other short-lived shows, but in 1991 he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. After he had surgery to remove his prostate, he went into remission briefly, only to learn that the cancer had spread. He finished his career directing the popular TV show Blossom from 1992 to 1993. The star of Blossom, Mayim Bialik, said that Bixby would often direct from a reclining position because it was too painful for him to stand up. She was amazed by his strength. On November 21, 1993, Bixby died from prostate cancer. The Incredible Hulk TV show was canceled in 1982, but 3 television movies followed. Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno reprised their roles for The Incredible Hulk Returns in 1988, The Trial of the Incredible Hulk in 1989, and The Death of the Incredible Hulk in 1990. Over the course of 5 seasons, there were many creative reasons David Banner transformed into the Hulk. Here are some of the reasons he hulks out. He gets a flat tire. He gets locked in a cage with a gorilla. He is stuck in the back of a cab in rush hour traffic. He gets snapped with a wet towel by some bully football players. He runs out of gas with a pregnant woman in his car. He falls out of a plane without a parachute. And lastly, he is fed some poisoned sushi. I hope this brought back some fond memories for you. The Incredible Hulk was one of my favorites as a kid, and Lou Ferrigno is the definitive Hulk for me. Make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and for more just like this, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so that you can be notified when I release a new video. Stay tuned for more episodes, and thank you so much for watching.